Tell me a little bit about Daughter of the Deep.
Well, it's a departure for me in some ways because it's my first science fiction book. It's my first book featuring solely a female protagonist, which is great. It's an homage to Jules Verne, who wrote the wonderful book 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and had the tradition of Captain Nemo that came out of that and his ship, the Nautilus. And as anyone who's read Percy Jackson probably could guess, I love the ocean. Percy was a son of the sea god. In this book, we're more about science and the marine sciences in particular, but still, it's about exploring the ocean, just doing it from a slightly different point of view this time.
I'm a huge fan of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the book. As a kid, that just woke up my imagination, and I became a Jules Verne fan. And the thing about Nemo was, at least for me, he was, one of the first freedom fighters.
Right, exactly. He's a really complicated guy. He was, according to Verne, originally named Prince Dakar. He was an Indian nobleman who fought against the British who had colonized India at the time. And so, yes, he became Nemo and built the Nautilus as a form of payback, of revenge to fight against the colonial powers. And I found that really fascinating and started wondering how that would translate into the 21st century. So Anna Dakar, my hero, is a descendant of Nemo's and finds out that because of her genetics, she's one of the only ones that can unlock his secrets. And she has to find the original Nautilus and wake it up after all these years because people are after her and the world is at stake. So she has a very complicated legacy and she has to figure out what kind of Captain Nemo she's going to be.
Yeah. And again, you also have this I don't want to say the word battle, it's too strong, but you do have this land versus sea, kind of story going on as well.
Right, like Zeus and Poseidon. And yes, I mean, I think that does speak to how elemental that idea is to the human experience, land versus sea. I mean, certainly in Greek mythology, it was constantly a thing. What is more dangerous? It's really kind of a toss-up. And even today, the land and the sea are symbiotic. They are both important parts of the world, and being a human, we have to learn to deal with both, but they are in conflict. The ocean, no matter where you live, affects you. It's 75% of the world. And yet it's 80% unexplored. We just don't know what's down there. So that fascinated me. And Verne, of course, was ahead of his time in thinking of it as another country without the rules that govern the land-based society. And so Nemo really is a pioneer. He's an explorer. He's a brilliant inventor, but also a freedom fighter. He is, as you said, he is dedicated to living under no one's law except his own, and never again setting his foot on land. And that has a great appeal to me, and I think to a lot of young readers too.
And that's built into your character, your lead character as well. I mean, she feels more at home in the ocean than she does on land.
Absolutely. She's a diver. She is an explorer. She has been training all her life to have a career at sea. What she did not train for, however, is stepping into the role of captaining a futuristic submarine. That was not in the cards for her, but suddenly she has thrust into this larger than life role and has to figure out what sort of leader she will become. At the age of 14, leading her classmates into real combat with this submarine that no one has used in 200 years. It's quite a challenge, but Anna is quite a hero too.
I heard a rumor that there's a movie connection now.
Well, there is. We are right now developing Daughter of the Deep for a feature film for Disney Plus. I will be producing it with my wife. We have a production company called Mythomagic. We will be involved in every step of the way. I will be co-writing the script. So I'm looking forward to it. This is probably the first novel that I wrote with the idea up front that I would turn it into a script. So it was interesting using what I have learned about script writing in the novel writing process, and then getting to turn it around again and then turn it into an actual script.
Did you have to get permission though from the like the Jules Verne Society or to use the character Nemo, or is that now just public domain?
No, yeah, Nemo, the character of Nemo, all of Jules Verne's work is public domain at this point. So that wasn't an issue. It started this idea of doing Captain Nemo, doing a 20,000 Leagues modern take, when I talked to the publishers at Disney many years ago, who were interested in getting me to do something that was based on a Disney franchise. And I immediately said, yes, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So there is that element that I was, of course, influenced by the Disney version of it. But, since Disney's my publisher and they're going to be doing the movie, that's not an issue either.
Yeah.
And of course, all the characters are new.
Again, this is such an incredible new kind of footing for you because, again, as science fiction, you've dealt with Greek history and all of this, but these worlds now, are brand new to everybody, and I think your fans are going to really embrace this.
Well, that's the hope. I hope that they get as excited about the ocean and marine science as they did about mythology. And I think there's a good chance they will. It is really a fascinating topic. There is so much about the ocean that just continues to capture our imaginations. It's just a wonderful playground for adventure, for mystery, for thrilling adventures. I mean, how many books have been written? How many movies have been done that are set on the ocean for good reason? It's sort of our common space for the imagination.
There's kind of a genetic connection to traveling. I mean, we're talking about Disney, but Moana really captured everybody because of the idea of finding, being wayfinders and all of that. People look up to the stars for the same reasons that the sailors, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, looked up to the stars for direction.
Yes, absolutely. And this kind of great beyond is right at our feet. And more people have been to the moon than have been to the bottom of the ocean. And I just find that fascinating. It's the great unknown, and it's right here. We don't have to travel into the stars to find it.
Yeah, and I think Verne's vision of feeding the population of the Earth with the ocean it is so far ahead of its time.
It is the idea of being self-sufficient on the ocean. And another thing that he pioneered was mentioned in Mysterious Island, where he talks about that someday when coal runs out, men will draw hydrogen power straight from the ocean. He's basically describing cold fusion, which we still have not figured out. But he had that inkling 200 years ago.
Well, congratulations on this and all your successes. I mean, I look back at, oh my God, just how many books and all of that you've done, and you are blessed with a great imagination and a way to, as a storyteller, you are a griot, for this planet.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, it's what I love to do. So it really most days doesn't even feel like work. I love telling stories, and I love seeing the light in the eyes of young readers when they really get into an adventure and decide that reading is fun. It's not just a chore. So that's the best job in the world.
Rick, I want to thank you for your time. Again, Daughter of the Deep, available everywhere, Amazon, bookstores. Just grab a copy and start reading. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Always a pleasure.